Less than 30 seconds to go live. We're rolling.
Great. All right. Thank you, Chad. All right. And welcome everybody to the 8th hour of the 2024 Boston Poetry Marathon. And we've got another all-star lineup for this hour. Our readers will be Jennifer LeBlanc, Casey Fallon, Carrie Bennett, Fred Marchant, Josette Akrish Gonzalez, Carol Weston, Amanda Cook, Christina Liu, Sarah Letourneau, and Carla Schwartz. Yeah, and so we've got a lot of great stuff lined up, so let's jump right into it. And Jennifer LeBlanc, if you'd be so kind.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to everyone at Boston Poetry Marathon. I'm so happy to be here, and it's been lovely to hear work earlier this day as well. So I'll read 3 poems. The first is called Abecedarian of Grief. Breaking open the day without you clasped in its promise is a dream, bad upon the waking, a breakfast of empty eggs. No yolks, nothing to fill the no longer possibility of us. How it gnaws at me like a hunger pain, trails me all day. And I have gone deep into this grief, as when it jolts me, a starving shock, and I'm stunned and knocked flat by it, caught in a mute stupor. Let me take this love, this life we planned, full and ornate as a Fabergé egg, a whole world contained within. Let me wake and accept it is gone, dead as the clean white bone set on a hem of cloth, how it lies in its glass case, nuanced only by changing cathedral light. But if I imply we were merely ornamental, we were not. The pilgrims come because they know faith is salvation itself. Even if quietly they doubt the cure, a relic is immediately pure, the substance of a good life's work. And yet there are always the ones who abstain, who under no pressure will line up and look. And this is you, a man who puts no stock in what's not visible, a man proud of his willful doubt. And I'm the ex-believer fool who thought she could make you love with the same zeal. The next one is in response to Deborah Diggs' 5 Smooth Stones. This is called Many Jagged Stones. The woman who wants no children carries many jagged stones. One she must carry when the man she loves wants them, and she turns her face to the moon, the stone that is single always in the night, a measure of love met with annoyance. There's little way to know the order, which stone is first and which is heaviest. She resents she is incomplete, that he must replicate her to be enough. This stone rises in a bowl of soup, clouds the kitchen with simmering anger. The woman who wants no children carries many jagged stones. And then the last one, get into a little astrology. It's called chart reading. With still more to iron out than we have since that day, my plans with you are wrinkled from when I first asked if we could live without children and be happy. Most days I know with resolve I will never be a mother. Most days you hope I will change my mind. I know because you've told me you cannot let go this plan you've had as long as you remember. We're as constant as our stars. I am Virgo, I am solitary and walk like a nun in my silence and always pure of intention. My earthen solitude as comforting and individual as clothing, clean and unmarked. But you are Scorpio, by water born, needing of that voyage. And then our constellations weaving, warring in the marrow of our worlds, almost irreconcilable, but holding on with some unnameable hope, and with you hoping what was never in me returns. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I love the line, my plans with you are wrinkled.
Thank you.
Thanks. So that was Jennifer LeBlanc. And next up, we'll hear from poet Casey Fallon.
Hi, thanks so much. Okay, Jennifer, I'm excited to meet you virtually. I was a mother. I am a mother now, but I was a woman who wanted no children. So I'm writing about that. Look at us in conversation. We didn't even know it. And then I also write about soup. So I was so excited. I was like, yes, soup. Okay, so this is my 4th time reading at Boston Poetry Marathon. I discovered you all in 2018. I talk so much, so I left in a minute just to talk to you all because I need some community. The fact that it's all online is really conducive to my lifestyle. I'm a mother of 3 children under the ages of 4. Like 0 out of 10 recommend that. Really, really stressful. So this is great for me that I can see you all, and I've been able to kind of neglect motherhood duties to listen to you all day long. It's been great. I am always so inspired and really moved by this event and all the poets. And I actually wrote the second poem I'm going to read for you all today at nap time today because it's been brewing inside of me and I couldn't come up with the words. So I was like, my daughter, she's 4. She's like, I don't want to nap. I'm like, you're napping. I got work to do. So I'm going to share that. And then the first one I'll read was just published in the Journal of Expressive Writing last year. So I am my mother's daughter. I am my mother's daughter. I am a motherless daughter. I am my daughter's mother. I am mother and woman, teacher and writer, wife and voter. I am laughing before I am crying. I am laughing much more than crying. I am crying, but only in hollow bathrooms, swallowing my screams, suffocating early dreams. I am my mother's daughter today when the mail arrives. Jeep offers, credit cards closed 2 years ago. Kohl's catalogs and sales on Capri's. I am a motherless daughter every day these days. I read her journals when she was my age, 34, the world ahead. I am only in the journals twice, so I read them again, and I read them again. I am searching, I am clawing, I am crawling, scratching at the worn kitchen tile of our first home, trying to get back, trying to remember before I was this motherless daughter. I am here, but I am not here at all. What I mean is I am here. I am nursing the son my mother will never know. I am my daughter's mother. I am mommy and mama and mother, capital M. I am a mother, but I am a daughter too, and I can't escape either. We mothers, all day long, we mothers judge ourselves and judge each other. Mothers of the new mothers refold the laundered clothes, and mothers-in-law whisper instructions to sons who don't listen, and the world turns, embracing autumn. And my body softens again, readying, remembering the home it is, has become, the home it has grown, the 3 of 4 summers, and just last November. It is time, my hips announce. My womb paws at me in fever dreams between my 4 hours of broken sleep, deep into the raw roots of me. We mothers are overwhelmed, barely able to stir the soup and mashed the steamed carrots fast enough for the babies wailing, their fists in their mouths, always hungry. Is this all that has become of me? I wonder at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday into the dark alone, my swollen breasts leaking from unrecognizable nipples. Hot tears wetting the baby who I beg to sleep. There was a time I waltzed in the streets in Sicily. I dream of her, a girl who took a one-way flight, who dined at 9 and wore a silk scarf as a dress, who once was arrested in Greece. There is so much I've stopped feeling, stopped dreaming. I scrape at the edges to find who I hope I still am, who I hope I still can be. There is still time, the ancestral mothers inside of us all scream. There will be time, I am still here, I am still me. I write sometimes, I say to anyone, and I'm still teaching. They offer a polite smile, nod. They ask about the kids. My husband works late most nights, then looks in the oven for his dinner, then the microwave, then the fridge. We look at each other these days without looking at each other. At the playground, a friend asks when it gets easier. I pretend that the children need me. They do always need me. And I leave the question unanswered verbally. Let's talk politics, I say, winking. She scoffs at me, says she doesn't have time to read. There's no time for politics, she laughs. But when her second baby is born, the baby is not a baby. How quickly everything changes. Now she reads. Now she votes, protests silently, worrying her hemline with a chewed thumbnail. Again, she scoffs, says she doesn't have time to grieve. There's no time to process, she laughs. Every Sunday, she steadies herself at the bathroom sink, swallows the pills, promises this week will be different. She smiles her biggest smile, makes the lunches and the coffee, pours her wine to the brim secretly, and swears that yes, she will take some time as she kisses her husband goodbye. But another Sunday comes, and she still waits for the right time to open a window, to weep, finally. We mothers are tired, slow limbs, limping back blood memories, pushing up to the ceiling as the body begs, yearns to do it again, all over again, despite our innards screaming no, insisting that we are more than this, more than the footnotes of someone's childhood, barefoot and playing, spraying a water hose high and pointing to birds and trees, scooping handfuls of soapy bubbles in lukewarm baths over little heads. It is enough. It's not enough. It is enough. Damn it. It's not enough. We mothers, we have to remember and remind one another we are more. We are more than feeding everyone else's needs and dreams. Thank you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Casey. I love the line, my womb paws at me in fever dreams. Beautiful. All right, thank you. Yeah, so that was poet Casey Fallon. And up next, we'll hear from Carrie Bennett.
Thanks. It's so nice to read with everyone. I thought I would read a few poems from my new book by Barrow, from Barrow Street. It's called The Mouth is Also a Compass. The evidence escaped like smoke. At least I haven't lost the moon. After the fires and floods and droughts, after the flocks of birds fell to land. Now I crave a sky the color of peaches. I crave warm water with lemon. My real luxury, still starlight. My eyes keep cowling to men who either serve authority or tomorrow. No beleaguered sea ever defends the law. It's mapped out in either direction, blotting out barriers, bottomless blocks of history, see nothing blank. I'm careful, lost like a distant sail. Every field contains a frozen bird. Not even a footprint left behind. Mats scatter like soft stars through fields. Where are the scientists that charted this land? Bright flags wave, and I close my eyes to a sky filled with songbirds I'll never see again. My backyard cut with yellow, a sharp streak of blue. Will I forget the red beak of a cardinal? Sometimes I see phantoms, strands of smoke or breath or sprays of white flowers. I stand for hours in front of fallen rocks. I am grateful for the wolf following me. The ice hospital. The wolf is my shadow. I feel her sharp movement. Cloud patterns spread slowly across the windowed walls like a moving lake. The hospital rooms are terrible elevators the wolf and I move through. Everyone in this new city lives on tubes attached to their stomachs. A thick off-white formula pushes through their bodies. Their hands reach as I walk out the door. I search for food, but the stores are coffins. I'll read one more. Sunrise meets sunset. I attempt contact with the last ice age. Switches and coils, my heart misgives the Morse code. Spend hours melting snow over the weak spots. I'm caught now, really caught, double action and all. Ice alone was not to blame. Yesterday's failures impress me, emergencies already planned. 35 feet below, I know a hard brittle. I know bitterness evaporates what washes up. I can walk, I can't leave nice straight lines. Unpredictable nakedness, I rarely spend time forgetting civilization. I will remember microscopic touch like firecrackers, coats every exposed object. At home, I used to trace the glow thrown up. Like a little watchtower, I spent evenings stowed behind locked doors, blinds tight as lids. Barely a streak of light, too busy, too tired. I drove my car, ate my meals, bought my clothes, ground to a sinking, the ocean forced to hold my abundant weaknesses. could almost ignore the next storm and the blazing newness of each morning. Now I dig a hole collecting the wind vein. A fearful lifting remains the lowest pin. Contrive a cure to cut so much. Huge red barrier edge. This latitude itself free. All innocently water. Water, still more water. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carrie. I search for food, but the stores are coffins. Another great line. And congrats on the new book. So that was Carrie Bennett. And up next, we have Fred Marchand.
Hi, everyone. It's such a privilege to be in the marathon again. And thank you, organizers. And let's thank all organizers over the many years, too. It's really the sustaining quality of this is itself a marathon. I'm going to read brand new poems. When I say brand new, I mean in the last few weeks or months. A couple of them, the first two are they come out of a new fact in my own life. My wife, Steffi, has Parkinson's, and I am really in the care partner mode so much of my day. And well, this is called Sundowning, and it's set in Menotomy Rocks Park. Some of you who know Arlington may know that little park and its little pond and how beautiful it is. Menotomy Rocks Park, Sundowning. We sit on a weathered bench and watch the dogs lead their masters down the trail beside us. My love is susceptible to falls, so we do not go far. Here we meet Phoebe, a yellow lab of dignified middle age, wondering what we are doing, just sitting, neither petting nor walking on ahead. She hovers around our legs, but the longer she stays, the more I think Phoebe, from long time among the humans, knows something is off kilter. Has the dog picked up a troubled scent in the forest of nerves, a thwarting in the brain that no longer governs the body, either in gait or balance? Often when she turns or reaches behind her, her feet do not follow. They will freeze, then the body will lean, tip over, end up sprawled across the path. In the sad quiet of this moment, the dog has decided to stay with us for a while. So too, the unseen birds, a chorus singing among the many things to fear. How the light will disappear. How darkness will settle over the land. I see the flash of a cardinal. Hear its familiar three-note song as the sun slips down to a sliver of light. I think of how small the bird is, all the food it needs just to sing. Oh, Lord, have pity on the worm that gets lost and finds itself up on the surface with us. The next one has got a fancy title. I just fell in love with the words. Welkin Scud. Welkin is an old-fashioned word for the sky or the heavens, and Scud is another old-fashioned word of the clouds that fly across it, almost on their own. Welkin's, W-E-L-K-I-N-S-C-U-D. Welkin Scud on a photo taken from a wheelchair at Brightview Assisted Living in Arlington. You wheeled yourself to the end of the porch to take a photo of clouds flying off into the east. Every one of them was its own being, you said. That was your exact word. You also said they were turning into mountains of snow, flying across the sky, these beings, unbound, free, and shape-shifting. They were scudding on the edge of a wave of wind, giving them maybe only a minute Now into the poem that is in a different vein altogether. I hope everyone has somewhere or another encountered a tin can of evaporated milk and how you open it up. Evaporated milk. The Second World War seeped into my childhood like the milk that dripped from a tin can with two holes gouged on top. His head in an oval frame. The brand PET in caps. I see it again this morning. My mind in the 50s. Again, the coffee on, my father off to work at the gas station he owned for a while. his name embroidered onto his green winter work shirt. My mother's apron, a cloth X on her back as she flips bacon strips. I am sneering at a Sousa march on the radio. WEAN, 7-Eleven on the dial, and it is 7-Eleven in the air. It's time for the daily march around the breakfast table, which none of us did, but I knew it was to honor veterans, affirm the good war, praise for all who soldiered on in the post-war. It would be decades before I'd meet the Levertov poem where she says, "When they tell you the war has ended, it has not ended." As she put it once in another poem, every war is the same war, and it continues. I would add, it gets evaporated, sweetened, and saved. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Oh Lord, have pity on the worm that gets lost and finds itself up on the surface with us. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Very powerful. So that was Fred Marchant. And up next, we'll hear from Josette Akrosh Gonzalez.
Thank you so much for putting this on every year. It's so fun to be part of it. So I'm going to read kind of a long poem. It should take up my whole time. And it's in sections, so I'll kind of pause between sections. I'll say one other thing about it, which is that it's sort of the intro poem to an ongoing project that I haven't finished yet and may not ever finish. We'll see, it might kill me. It's a spiritual autobiography crossed with an ekphrastic sort of thing, where each of the sections of maybe if it's a book, each section will be titled with the same as the title as the episodes of the original Planet Earth documentary series. So the intro, which I'm going to read to you, the episode is called From Pole to Pole. And my poem is called From Pole to Pole, or My Utopia. Welcome to the Bronx. A damp baseball field, and then dozens of FedEx trucks. On the train up the coast, a bowling alley, and then a graveyard. Eliyahu would say the Moshiach is only a wish away. A collective wish, though. An impossible wish, then, I say. For how is it possible for all of us to make the same wish simultaneously? The bang was big, but it happened a long time ago, before any of us were born. In my utopia, let me start that over. In my utopia, there are twice as many diplomats as there are surgeons, because in my utopia, war is no more common than a polio or Ebola or smallpox outbreak. Universities set up temporary shelter to study it, taking contact precautions utmost seriously. Anyone coming home scrutinized until declared free of contamination. According to the Torah, Elijah returns during the end of times. According to the Mishnah, Elijah would be the leper squatting on the floor, unobtrusive and calm. On the train, a toddler is whimpering. I think she's faking it too, my little spirit. Elijah grew in his mother's womb 12 months. According to legend, his body was fully developed. Perhaps throughout his life he struggled. When my babies were babies, an expert said, let them cry. Babies are human beings expressing emotions. We should show empathy and cry too. I would have to learn to act. Method actors say, think of what saddens you. I taught my kid how ExxonMobil spent millions to mislead people about climate change. Did you know that Elijah's name, Eliyahu, has the same numerical value as the word behemah, animal? During their Earth Day activity, the class turned a clear fish tank murky with garbage. The preschool director said my son had cried. Good, I said. That is an appropriate response. After the fight with his king, Elijah will be fed by ravens. The cattails blowing next to the tracks were here before us. Will the Moshiach recognize each of our faces in N95 masks? In Connecticut, I close my eyes but don't sleep. How do I know if I'm having an epiphany or a mental breakdown? In my utopia, 52% of the CEOs are women. It makes me happy that bike paths are made from old rail lines, but sad that trains no longer ride them. My eyes open to a soccer field, knee socks, ponytails, an empty tennis court, an SUV slowing to a stop at the corner. Connecticut takes its name from an Algonquin word meaning land on the long tidal river. In my utopia, areas the size of Connecticut lack people, roads in or out, malls reclaimed by trees, more wolves than dogs. Fires rage every few years unchecked in the dry lands, and 100-year floods pour over the silty bottomlands. A few years ago, my friend's son died by suicide in the manner of Anna Karenina. I wasn't friends with her then, but I put my hand to my mouth when I read the news. In the meantime, she learned to play Beethoven on the piano and speak without shaking. Eliyahu will notice the rain dry up and the land become parched. The train moves up the coast like a current. It is said that when dogs are happy for no reason, it is because Elijah is in the neighborhood. How can the train tilt horizontally? I hear the sound of someone expertly shuffling cards. My sister texts to ask me if my kids will read a prayer for our country at her daughter's bat mitzvah. I sent her a heart. In my utopia, it's cool to be smart, and scientists get paid a lot, and all the weapons are soft and smack like lips. We pass a parking lot, picnic tables, a beach. The ocean waves forward and breaks a kind word in two. My little spirit is like a building in a tsunami. We tip toward the sand where a creature finds out if half a soda can makes do for a new home. We pass a boat called Blackbird in a marina. A boy with a fresh haircut stands up in the aisle, stretches his arms up and yawns. He asks his brother, "Do you want to play a game?" A train passes in the opposite direction, and I gasp like the wind got knocked out of me, like when my sister punched me in the guts on the bus. At New London, the train sounds its horn like the Lord breaking Jericho. I pick up my head and wipe my eyes. In my utopia, all the men who size up women are sent off to the art colony for a few weeks of landscape painting. The illusion is too strong, burns like spirit on its way down, and warms the belly like spite. When you drop a yarmulke or a siddur, you're supposed to kiss it when you pick it up. I give myself a paper cut, not letting a book of poems fall down my thigh to the floor of the train. We arrive at Providence, and the children help their parents roll the suitcases down the aisle. Is this simply our collective wish? In my utopia, if you have to pee, there is a clean public restroom. Life storage, 2x4s, garbage and shiny puddles, darkness. Eliyahu, the context changer. We enter the station on track 2, location B. Notice there is no hunger. Notice there is no war. Notice the only pain is nostalgia. Notice the sunset. Notice the wicked. There the chaff driven away by the wind. Elijah's cup is not there just to grace our Seder table. I do not pour a glass of fine wine as a toast to a great prophet. Can the end of times be Eliyahu's whole point? What collective silence brings his cup to our ritual? Open the door, says the story, and welcome the Messiah. Yet none believe even collective action can reverse the global end. Brought on by ourselves, of course. foretold by mystics and scientists, and David Attenborough, at nearly 100 years old, biblical in his memory of colonial times when he first discovered nature in his khakis and pith helmet, and now voice cracking with light, pleading with us, breaking the fourth wall. High tension wires remind me of a song, and I sing it to myself. In my utopia, we can stand the smell of one another's food. My mouth is closed, but I catch myself praying. Gorgonzola and kimchi, chitterlings and sensory eggs, haggis and hairy tofu, and lobster and tongue. I look up from my book. The sky is blue. Pine trees lift straight up to the clouds. I am not afraid of 10,000 people. Check pockets for personal belongings. Notice mischief fallen on our own heads. Notice the ditch we dig with our own hands. Pull off our masks. Squint at the sun. All doors will open. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josette. Great. The bang was big, but it happened a long time ago before any of us were born. Love it. All right. Thank you. And so that was Josette Akrish Gonzalez. And up next, a poet who barely needs any introduction, Carol Weston.
Yikes. I want to do the Navajo Indian love song. My first poem is The Scream, which is first, but I cannot find it. I did it, who have sustained me for decades, since 1950, when Jack Powers, who had a genius for helping poets find their voices,
Really?
and Chad Parento, who has sustained all of us and kept our minds on our poetry for 20 years. My clothes are made by Leslie Edvers. Tambi Mutu is the miracle of my life. The Dark Bowl. This is Jack's favorite. The Dark Bowl. In the dark bowl of my soul danced a very slight light. When I blew off my lid, I blew out the light. When they came to my aid, they bent over the rim, extending their candles to light me again. I look at my watch. My darling time, you are eating me alive, and I love it. Leonardo, who condemned me to see with my hands in the thick of my beard, answers everywhere, and that over the bridge of my nose I should see in the running water the process of every running thing. Air is to be mounted, sun is to be looked. Veins of a leaf in my hand burn in my brain with questions and answers. Not a stone in the road is free of messages. Not a nose of a single face can pass me without the anguish of my consciousness following it. The ocean of things tries to catch me in its undertone and bear me down. When I lift my foot to walk forward, it is as if the roots of all things are dragging at my heel. The force of doubt is equal to the force of energy that prompts me, and that in me which does not want to move is answered by a gradual mastery, a continual momentum that cannot be broken. I put blinders over my heart, and I push forward. I love by the supreme organization of the machine of myself. What if the frail scent shell of a student should hang himself from my rafter, his earnest face lost in the knot of my struggle? I hold a bird in my hand, its feathers shaped to the running wind. My heart beats with its heart. I want to lift men up. I want to go myself up out of the force that holds me down. I test my wings against the wind and sky, and when one of them flies, the one that flies them falls, all of my inside self falls with him, and I flail the two of us until we rise again. There is nothing of mine I set in flight without a limb of myself, aloft and subject to obliteration. The ass that turns the world, to George Barker. My master walks ahead of me. I see into his soul. My master knocks my building down. I have no place to hide. All human speech inhabits him, all poetry and myth. He is the monster of my mind. He is the fire of humankind. He is the voice that smashes glass. He is the ass that turns the world. Angst. Out along the street of the particular, leaving my bags of books behind. The fruit for sale was glistening with flies. Likewise, I too was powerless. I opened giant vaginal lips, and in hordes the cripples and the insects crawl upon my shores. Through keyholes, locked in their houses, they wait. No one will let them out. Through their keyholes, they watch a triumphal parade. It is the singing few for whom the doors have opened. The door. Get away from me. Do not protect me from the half open door, behind which lies my mystery, the land I walk to terrified, and where I make my home. How is the time?
Oh, why don't you, we're at 5 minutes. Do you want to end with this one? Oh, well, yeah, that was 5 minutes, Carol. So we're out of time, but that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Good.
Yeah, thank you. I loved you are eating me alive, and I love it. A perfect line. So thank you. Thank you so much. So again, that was Carol Weston. And up next, we'll hear from poet Amanda Cook.
Very hard to come after that magic. I'm going to be reading from a long project I've been working on, which is a poem by poem reaction to Charles Olson's Maximus poems. And I've curated this based on things that I've heard today, and a night swim off of Flat Rocks in honor of a friend's, what would have been a friend's 50th birthday. So here's some poems from Letters to Maximus. At the boundary of the mighty word, up on gravelly hill, this is my head, Athena, my head pushing up from beneath the rocks, under the earth, my head, the back of my neck, the curve you see when I look down. And my arms outstretched, my right arm down the path, my right hand turned outward, the elbow toward Cherry Street, my forearm pressed against the Sportsman's Club, the ricochet of bullets, the string of pearls a young man offered me there when I was 13. Do not trespass. Do not. My left arm bent, Babson Reservoir in its crook, my chest, my heart pressed into the ground, in a ring of words. Never try. Never. Leave me alone. My head is down. My body stretches. The sway of my back, the swamp of my belly. Get out. It is not bad. The position of my body, the imposition of my body, where there is any condition imposed, leave me alone. I am covering this hill. There is water running. It is wet. I am on fire. The position, it is not bad to be pissed off. I am covering this hill, blackberry thorns and wintergreen, spiritual power. I am stretched out north, toes in the quarries, blueberries crushed beneath my knees, white lady slipper. Leave me alone. Trails like veins, like blood running, and the water runs down the trail, spring mud, courage, kindness. The way nobody interrupts you when you read a poem, the way you read louder if they try. Ideas, get out, leave me alone. I am a mess of rocks and sticks and water and bone. I am a bullfight, a child lost in the woods. I will never know myself fully, afraid to go down certain paths, see men in denim. Get out, Gravelly Hill says, get out. My back, my shoulders, my face pressed into the ground. Leave me alone. Civic disaster. We live close together, tight, so our trees are common property, or should I say, sometimes someone will treat a tree poorly, as if it were their own, the way mean men will kick their own dog or hit their own wife because they can and don't tell them they can't. My walnut tree, growing in 4 square feet of land, fell victim. Holes drilled at each branch point, something put in to make the leaves fall. Dead. I leave its tree corpse there to make bark falling, trunk splitting as a reminder to my neighbor. I know what you did. I hang laundry from its dead branches. Next door, the neighbor's maple is cared for, trimmed. They tell us when a branch needs to come down, when the vines that creep up its trunk are trimmed. It is a well-loved tree. The mean neighbor complains, though, about the risk, about how the tree may fall someday, how both of our houses are in danger. I am quiet. I love the tree, its shade, the birds that living in it. I sit in the shade of the maple and look at my poor walnut, a reminder of the things I am too timid to say. Flowers, flowers, Garrett in the air with the sorrel coming up and Thai choice closing, honey bananas in the afternoon. I want to go down to where Water Street was and look with my own eyes for the Virgin across to Paul Oakley's up toward City Hall. It is raining, still the air is warm. The sightlines have changed. Water Street is gone. But from behind the Virgin, from the park on Ledgemont Ave, I can see it all. The tree by the big rock near the Rockport entrance to Seaside Cemetery, where Gregor told us stories and we knocked on the tree asking for popsicles. I should go to that cemetery, read the plaque on that rock, write it here. I should know it. No one can pull me from this water. It's too deep. No lap, no comfort, no gods or goddesses. I am the mother here. I tried to show my children how place matters, my places, but only on flat rocks did their feet follow mine. Untie your purse strings, cast out what you are keeping inside, fill your pockets with rocks. Thank you.
Amanda, thank you. No gods or goddesses. I am the mother here. Beautiful. Great stuff. Thanks. So that was poet Amanda Cook. And next up, we have another fantastic poet. This has been a great day. And not just a fantastic poet, but also one of the amazing organizers behind the marathon. So everybody, please welcome Christina Liu.
Thank you. It is an honor to share this hour with all of you. So thank you. Excuse me. This first piece has some racially charged language, and I really wish that it didn't. It's called Gradations. Gradations. I imagine myself as a yellow canary in moments. In Boston this morning, the man is yelling obscenities at me in a crowded train station. Ching chong, gooky gook, chinky eyes. Go back to China. You all are taking over. Canary call can be described as chisik or shuri. He just doesn't stop. His clothes smell of yellowing. Decades of piss drenches his pants and coat. His eyes are jaundiced from the browner bourbon in his back pocket. another appendage to be wary of. Commuters swarm away, yellow jackets. South Station smells of Dunkin's, McMuffins. The latter I loved as a girl, their yolks smothered by biscuits. Feel like throwing up now. Last night's Chardonnay yellowing my belly. Yellow belly, livered belly, weak, commie. He's following me as I measure the distance to work, on foot, the time I have to escape in heels, hoping he doesn't spit on me. I'm wearing a new dress. I felt so good this morning. It slipped on, a sunbeam. I've got to haul ass, haul my laptop, my pride on my back now. My parents' voices are warning me to not make trouble, to study hard. They tell me how proud they are. Their pride beams gold. America, #1. A nice white lady told me over tea, I don't see racism against your people. Your skin is so white. I don't know why they call you yellow. We swallowed chamomile. This next piece is very new and probably a little rough, but it was written in Montreal as my husband and I were watching the Republican National Convention. So there's your context. This is called Currency Exchange. Currency Exchange. The rain smells of beer and the grass smells of hops. Citra, Centennial, Chinook, cascading, underscoring the unsame city's hiss and missing limbs. They want the old cabarets and strip clubs and the same old men and young men who will become old in 2024, longing for the days of misogyny and tall boys, illicit crossings of borders and bodies flushed out of store windows, the tall boys still virgins with their fake bravado and bad deodorant. Does it help that the questions sound more polite, followed by s'il vous plaît, followed by madame? Better to be yellow below or above borders. There was a Leonard Cohen CD in the car keeping us company, but we didn't listen to his bass on the way up. NPR in Massachusetts, in Vermont, and then in French. We felt like children, powerless and mute. I pointed out signage and cartoons. We laughed at moose crossings, marveled at increasing roadkill, hoped not to run over any soft mammal in darkness. Buzzed by low APV, the whole city and highway is drunk and complicit, hoping for the new day like little ants weaving in and out until shoulder season. Now in July, it is a heat wave across the continent. How high is the mercury? I still want to fry an egg on the concrete, feel the burn on my thighs in a hot car, slide down metal with red skin. When I was 5, I was flying in Columbus Park, pushed by the pedal of my legs, higher and higher. I was a child to jump off. I was never an adult to jump off now, make the move elsewhere. Want to keep good company, nodding at murals, snapping at storefronts, weaving from old ports, back to the chinois, the amputated heat of scallions, bang bang noodles, baptized by sweat. How much? How much to convert back to American dollars, back to the convention of cowboy hats and elegies? How much to go back? The day before, I read about 2 Native women butchered in Alaska. The footage was found by a prostitute on cell phone video. How much? How many miles to Babylon, echoes Didion? How much will we remember now? How many more years to reminisce? A few months back in Mexico, I asked, how much for a magnet which spelled Nogales? How much for this artifice of cactus and plasticine? How much will you take from me? Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Christina. Powerful. The whole city and highway is drunk and complicit. Wonderful. So again, that was poet and organizer Christina Liu. And up next, we'll hear from Sarah Letourneau.
Hi, everybody. So I'm going to read two poems from my book, Wild Gardens, which just came out last month. This is called An Origin Story of Cape Cod. Let's start at the beginning, 23,000 years ago. Your parents were the Earth and Laurentide, an ice sheet stretching from the Arctic Ocean all the way to what would later be known as the islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. If anyone had borne witness, they would have found a cold crust of white as far as the eye could see. This didn't happen all at once, of course. Patience is both virtue and necessary evil when you need about 5 centuries to emerge. But not once did you complain as leisurely your more glacial parent retreated north. In 3 lobes, it scraped over bedrock, carving and molding you into moraines, cames, and outwash plains, as if with the sculptor's tools, but no final design in mind. In its wake, it strewed all manner of rock debris over you, miles upon miles of till, gravel, sand, and boulders, hundreds of feet thick. But you didn't mind. You liked the way the meltwater streams dressed you, how their deposits filled your deltas and expanded west, how leftover lumps of ice melted and made jewel-like kettle holes across your peninsula. You even chose to wear your relict valleys, your riverless battle scars, with pride. You couldn't fathom then that one day you would be robed in pitch pines, marshes, and cranberry bogs, or called home by piping plovers, seals, and humans. You didn't even care about your name until the Wampanoag and the Nauset called you Turtle Island, and the British colonists Cape Cod. No. That long ago, your only care was that you were born, and to be born means to exist, and to exist means boundless possibilities. Thank you. I'm going to read just one more poem. This is also from Wild Gardens. I was inspired to write it after going to my best friend's father's funeral several years ago. Flowers at a funeral. I don't want to think about the flowers. They burn my eyes, blazing like suns against the white parish walls and the casket's dark polished wood. Acknowledging them feels like whispering profanities in this crowded holy room where the man lying in repose is my best friend's father. So I do my best to look elsewhere, at my friend whose face I cannot see as she sits in the front row, a slight wilt to her spine, at the pastor standing at the pulpit, one arm outstretched as he speaks of death and the flowering cherry trees outside, at the other mourners lining the rows ahead of me, arranged almost as neatly as transplants in a garden, then at my hands, the knuckles dry and cracked from the change in seasons as I fumble for thoughts that are fitting for a funeral, such as how the man I'm honoring once invited his daughter and me to his backyard swimming pool, and why an only child of divorced parents must lose her father before her 30th birthday, and how death has been insatiable this week, disguising himself as news anchors to tell me the names of those he took through shootings, fires, old age, and whether it's time to ask my mother and father about their will and their power of attorney, and how the sky this morning is as blue as that hydrangea bouquet. See? Somehow, grief fails to blind me to the lilies as orange as monarch wings, the roses flushing amber and pink, and the crepuscular rays of daffodils. Their full blooms are faces beatific and wise, their stems and leaves like bodies and arms, thrown open and completely to the world. They shouldn't be so thriving on this wind-bitten April day, yet Perhaps I should give thanks that they are. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. As I was writing down lines, I noticed other folks were grabbing them in chat. They were so good. Somehow grief fails to blind me to the lilies. Beautiful. So thank you again. So that was Sarah Letourneau. And congratulations on your new book, Wild Gardens. Everybody can Google it and check it out. And closing up this amazing set of readers, we'll hear poetry from Carla Schwartz.
Hi, and thank you so much. Thank you to the Boston Poetry Marathon for this amazing event every year. I'm going to read to you 3 poems. They're all pretty new. This one is called Let Me Touch You, which is after Stanley Kunitz's poem, Touch Me. Let the rabbit tend summer's last flowers, my long-lived husband with pliant muscle. Let me touch you. Let me remind you who you are. Let us curl in bed, each with a book in hand, wait out the torrent storm. Let the raging winds batter our home. We'll rattle, yes, but lie entwined in hush. Yes, I'll remind you, my project poet, of your fenced lyrics, your well-lit free verse, your sturdy elegies. We've patched the mice out of our house many a time, stuffed steel wool up the shower drain at night. Now this creaky home, like us, shows its age. Tomorrow, we'll walk out in steamy air. Take my hand, my heart. It's not too late for love. And this next poem is a Haibin, and it's called You Are Going To, and has a small epigraph, which is, where am I going? My father's last words. He learned well those last years how Google could make things happen, call his daughter up on video, turn on the opera, every minute, the time and forecast. So toward the end, those final weeks in hospice, not enough staff to attend to his bed or even bring a sip of water. In the end, it was Google. Hey, Google, he'd call, just as I'd written it for him on the wall. Hey, Google, turn on the news. Hey, Google, turn it off. The last bit of control he could maintain when everything else was leaving. Artificial intelligence, last breath's only friend. Sorry about that. Google listens to me too. And finally, I have a prose poem. A week after yet another cyanobacteria watch on the lake. It's been days since I've been here, where the weather is cooling. Days since I've swum here, a dish left on the counter, encrusted with old breakfast. I step outside, the sun bright. The wind bites my skin. It's a strong wind with harsh gusts, thrusting leaves, acorns a-scatter, but I suit up for the cool, tap on my music, and step out onto my paddleboard to face what the lake presents. A disorganized wind, flags pointing where they shouldn't, into the forecast direction rather than against. I paddle with and against the swirling wind. I can't help think about Francine, the latest named storm, drawing its strength from the warm Gulf waters as I ignore the chill wind and slide off my board, leashed to my ankle, to swim. I take off against the current, waves wanting to turn my body to go where I hadn't intended. So every so often I check my bearings to unstray. You might think I swim for punishment. Punishment for not working the booths for the vote, for not dragging people's asses out to vote, for not acknowledging there's this hurricane mounting in the Gulf, building toward crescendo tomorrow to crash the Louisiana shore. And there will be one more and another, unless we temper the warm waters. But I continue on my swim, not punishment, but passion, to stroke against the waves, to keep myself from swallowing what the climate has begun to spoil, to keep myself afloat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carla. Wonderful reading. Take my heart, my hand. It's not too late for love. Beautiful sentiment. And so thank you so much again to all of who read this last hour and have been reading this whole day. We've just heard Jennifer LeBlanc, Casey Fallon, Carrie Bennett, Fred Marchant, Josette Akresh Gonzalez, Carol Weston, Amanda Cook, Christina Liu, Sarah Letourneau, and Carla Schwartz. I will take a short break and then come back very soon for the 6 o'clock hour. We've had, I think there have been some additions to the schedule, but it'll feature Elena Harrop, Christine Turney, Darren Black, Daniel Pritchard, and I think at least Clarice Annette Brooks, and maybe some surprise readers as well. So thank you all so much and see you soon.
Thank you.
Going a little over. We're going a little over, but we're gonna get restart now for the 6 o'clock hour.